Hi friends, and welcome to the video. I'm Olivia, and if you've never seen my face before, you can consider me your fragrance-obsessed internet friend, here to bring you all of the information that you need on all things fragrance. So to be honest with you guys, I have been having a little bit of a creative block lately. I have been trying to think up some themes for videos that would be interesting and fun to watch, but I often find myself grappling with what is going to be interesting but also bring in numbers. And I don't want to be thinking like that, because I find sometimes that when I focus too much on, oh, this is going to be a great viral video, it ends up being a video that I'm not really inspired by. So I'm not interested in trying to make videos that are just going to be hook, line, and sinker, best date night fragrances. I know those do well, but I don't feel creative when I make those videos. And I feel like if I am to play into that, then my creativity is just going to dwindle. So today I am doing something that, although I don't think it's going to speak to a ton of people, I still think it's a very interesting premise for a video, so I wanted to do it. I am going to be offering up some suggestions for fragrances for alternative individuals. I feel like I constantly get comments on my videos about my makeup and my hair being short and having tattoos. There is positive and there is negative. Putting your face on the internet is a little bit difficult, and I think a lot of people who have an alternative look can understand what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, I am a person about self-expression. I love to express that individuality through perfume. So I want to show you guys some interesting perfumes in my collection that I think if you're more alternative or you want to give off a more alternative scent, that these would be very interesting. So let's get into the video. I'm going to start off with one that I just purchased yesterday. I have had my eye on Asop fragrances for a while, so I went into the storefront yesterday with a friend of mine. I got to sniffing, and there were two fragrances that really caught my eye, but out of the two, this is the more unique of the two. But for that reason, I will say I think this is kind of a polarizing fragrance. I don't think everyone is going to like this fragrance, but this video is not about likability. This video is about individuality, and I think that this perfectly expresses it. So let's have a look at the notes. So this is called Gloam. In this, we have notes of iris, mimosa, saffron, woody notes, and jasmine. But there is something that's not listed that is very prominent in this fragrance, and I'm surprised that they haven't listed it, because when you first spray this, there is a distinct spiciness. I believe that there is cumin in this, and cumin can come off a little bit like body odor to some people, but I find that this fragrance is very well done. So for those who get it, you will get it. This has a beautiful spiciness. It is very richly woody, but that mimosa gives a lot of fluffiness along with the iris. So you're getting powdery, you're getting woody, you're getting spicy, and then the saffron comes through as a soft leatheriness. So all in all, this smells herbal. It smells perfectly unisex, a little bit leathery, very spicy. It smells very natural. This would be great for someone who likes more of an aromatherapy, unisex, clean smelling fragrance. A lot of their fragrances do not smell super perfumey. I read about this online. A lot of people said that this was a scrubber for them. They did not like this fragrance. First sprayed it, and I was judging it from that cumin-like strong spiciness in the beginning, and I was like, I don't know. As it dried down, I just kept smelling it. That mimosa came through, and that saffron came through, that little leathery touch. So it has almost a carnal sort of feel to it. It almost smells like sex skin. It's kind of dirty. It's kind of skanky, but it is intoxicating. It is bizarre, and I love it. And you best better believe I love it, because these are $195, which I didn't realize until I had picked up two perfumes and a large size lotion and spent $535 that I was not expecting it to come out to that price, but I already was at the cash stand, so I was like, yeah, sounds good. But alas, I stand by my choices. This smells incredible. It is bizarre. Not a lot of people are gonna love it, but I think that that is totally worthy of being a signature scent for an alternative person. Next is from Lush. I never thought that I would recommend a fragrance like this. This is called Lord of Misrule. This is a patchouli bomb. This is going to be for those of you who truly like a strong, natural patchouli scent. But if patchouli comes off to you very sweaty, or dirty, or skanky, or almost scattle smelling, that's not what I'm getting out of this. I am getting an herbaceous quality. I am getting a dry, medicinal sort of greenery, but then what kind of calms down that medicinal touch is a sweet, almost resinous vanilla, but then it's made a little bit spiced with almost a coarsely ground black pepper. So this is very robust. And even for a body spray, when I tell you, these last a crazy amount. They do have a perfume concentration. If you want to forego the perfume concentration and just get the body sprays, now these aren't terribly inexpensive by any means. This will last you like a perfume because of the robustness of the scent profile. You don't have to spring the money for the eau de parfum. This will last you. And I have the body spray of Rose Jam. I actually use that as a room spray because it's so strong that I actually can't handle wearing it on my body. So this is a really cool take on patchouli. The vanilla is rich, but like I said, it's very ambery. It's sweet, but not super sweet in the commercial sense. So if you like something that's kind of rock and roll, dark, it's balmy, it's herbaceous, it's kind of cutting edge with that black pepper, just has a very coarse feel to it, that's what you're gonna get out of this. Perfectly worthy as a signature scent for someone who really truly loves the scent of patchouli. Next is going to be for my coffee lovers. This is by the brand Acro, and this is called Awake. Now this is not your cappuccino, your sweet, creamy, vanilla forward coffee fragrance. This is an acidic black coffee. This is an ultra dark roast artisanal coffee that you would get at a coffee shop, and you're taking it straight black. There's a little bit of citrus in the beginning that I think for some people can come off a little bit harsh, maybe a little bit too acidic, but as this dries down, you get just a really, really rich roasted coffee experience. And I personally like to have this in my collection for the purpose of layering, because I've noticed that in a lot of coffee fragrances that there are on the market, they're all super duper sweet, like a little Starbucks vanilla bean frappuccino, right? Which is fun. I like that sometimes. But sometimes I want a coffee that's like, I walked into a very specific small coffee shop in Seattle where the barista is non-binary with a big nose ring. That's the kind of coffee that I'm getting from this. This is bold. This is dark. This is acidic and simple in the most perfect way. And I layered this the other day with Cafe Oud, the new release from Kayali, and it was phenomenal. It just added that little bit more coffee that I wish was in Cafe Oud, because that one is beautiful, but I felt like the coffee in that came off a little bit more like dark chocolate. So this gave it that like strong coffee punch. Speaking of the new Kayali fragrances, I think the one that is most unique out of all of them is going to have to be Tobacco Oud. Now this one, the oud is prominent, so if you are newer to oud, this one might not be the best introductory oud fragrance, but the tobacco in this to me comes off very dry, almost like dried autumn leaves. And you do get a little bit of acidity from some citrus in the beginning, and you get a very spiced dry down. So this is oud, a very, very dry tobacco, not like a sticky resinous tobacco, and it is spicy. To me, this leans a little bit more on the masculine side, and it is strong. Now, is it my favorite from the collection? No. Cafe is my favorite from the collection. This one I do enjoy. I find it a little bit too spiced for my taste, but I think that this is really unique for the house, so kudos to them for really going for it and going for something that is significantly more masculine than all of their other fragrance releases. Although still unisex, definitely on the masculine side. The next fragrance is by an indie house called Weil, and this is called Decadent Dirty. And this is a leather fragrance. And oftentimes I talk about leather fragrances on this channel. I'm offering up softer leather fragrances that are a little bit more smooth, a little bit more cashmere. This is a rough, worn leather. It is prominent. It is a strong, robust fragrance once again. And this also has a lipsticky cosmetic type quality. So this feels rough around the edges. It feels rock and roll. It feels raunchy and very dark and sensual. There is also something that's a little bit sharp in this in a way that I find very daring. I think the sharpness is coming from some pink pepper, a little tobacco, so it gives it this harsh kind of roughness that feels very playful, very fun. So that is Decadent Dirty by Weil. Next is from a fragrance house that I am very, very quickly falling in love with. This is from Experimental Perfume Club, and this is called Tonka Extraordinaire. And this is an ambery fragrance, but you've got a load of nuttiness in this. You've got a hazelnut, you've got an almond, you've got a tonka bean. So a lot of these are coming off as very nutty and powdery at the same time, along with a sesame. And the combination of sesame and tonka almost gives a roasted sesame seed sort of quality. So it's warm, it's toasty, it's ambery, it's balsamic and resinous, it's rich and dark, but very, very powdery. So this is interesting, it's bizarre, but it is still warm and comforting. It has a little bit of a fluffiness to it. It has a little bit of sweetness from some myrrh. So you're getting that resinous quality once again. It is delicious, and this has to be one of my favorite fragrances that I've tried in a long time. This house is incredible. I have velvet incense, which would also be perfect on this video as well, but I wanted to give a little shine to my brand new baby, which is Tonka Extraordinaire. Going back to another leather-based fragrance, this one is going to take it in a little bit different direction. This is from the brand Bon Parfumier. I swear I can speak words. And this is called 603. So this is also a tonka fragrance. So you're getting that roasted, nutty, powdery thing. You're also getting a leather, but this one is more of that smooth suede-like leather that I've talked about in the past. But where this gets a little bit more interesting is you have some almost pine tree-like sort of quality in here. So you're getting a distinct greenness. It has cypress, it has sage, so you get that herbal quality along with a little acidity in the beginning, a little bit of tartness from some citrus. And once again, there is a bit of resinous natural sweetness from some stearax and a little olibanum. So you are getting a resinous sweetness. You are getting a smooth, powdery tonka and leather combination, along with a crisp green element coming from sage and cypress. So this is going to be perfectly unisex. This warms up on the skin like velvet. This is much more of a wearable leather. So if the leather I talked about before sounds a little bit too harsh, but you still want something that has that characteristic, this one is great. That's 603 from Bon Parfumier. And just because you're alternative doesn't mean that sometimes we don't want a little bit of a fruity perfume, but it has to be done in such a way that gives it a bit of an edge. So I would pull for Possessoir Extrait. Now this one has quince, and to me, it comes off a little bit like pineapple. So it's sweet and juicy, but you have some black pepper in the beginning to offset the sweet tanginess that you get in the fruit in the beginning. And then in the base, this has a true balmy, very, very strong patchouli note. So this is a fruity fragrance with quite a bit of an edge. Perfectly unisex, very, very interesting, very complex, and the way that it dries down on the skin is just such a masterpiece in my opinion. So if you were looking for a fruity sort of fragrance, but you want something a little more interesting, Possessoir Extrait is going to be that fragrance. Now this one is going to give you much more of a vintage feel because this fragrance has been around since the 40s. This is Fracas by Robert Piquet. And this is a tuberose fragrance, and the tuberose in this comes off buttery and sweet and smooth. Very, very smooth. It almost has a thickness to it. So don't think of a sheer floral. This is a dense, heavy, creamy tuberose that almost has a slight indolic touch to it. So it smells very natural, but then it's supported with a lot of other white florals. It has gardenia, it has jasmine. So this is a white floral bomb. And to some people, this is going to smell vintage because it is. But it's done in a way that once again has this pheromonal, carnal, sexual kind of feel to it. It is sophisticated, yet has a raunchiness to it. This is something that is very hard to describe, but when you smell it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There is quite a bit of mossiness in the base. It does have some vetiver that gives that lightly leathery, herbal, dry, hay-like touch. So it's creamy, it's abundantly floral, it's a little bit powdery, and it has a beautiful musky, ambery dry down. So although this is a very old scent profile, I urge you guys to try this if you enjoy a creamy, slightly indolic tuberose. And lastly, for my alternative friends, we have to talk about a Gourmand fragrance because Gourmand has become super mainstream. Every normie and their mother wants to smell like a snack. But sometimes us weirdos want to smell like a snack too. It just has to have a little funk to it. So this one is called Roasted Coffee Cigarette Whiskey Come Get Your Suede Honey Baby. That's a long ass name, but that is by Stranger's Perfumery. And this to me smells like a coconut tiramisu with cigarette smoke. There is something almost rubbery, smoky on the dry down that people find repulsive and I find so good. It's so intoxicating. It is gourmand, almost photorealistic food when you first spray it. But then as it dries down, it gives you a cigarette kind of feel. And I like it. I like it a lot. I actually used to enjoy when I would go to my friend's house as a kid because her parents smoked, and when I would leave, I would smell it on my clothes, and bizarrely enough, I liked the scent. So that's kind of reminiscent of what I get out of this with a very, very strong gourmand dessert, rich, decadent tiramisu sort of feel. So that is my suggestion for a gourmand fragrance for my alternative friends. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Leave me some comments down below as to what you would like to see for next week. And until next week, Saturday, 10 a.m. PST, as I always post, mwah, take care of yourselves, my friends.